Hello everyone and welcome again to Roche Farm Garden, where we have Raymond Joyce, County Extension Agent. Thank you for joining us again today, Raymond.
It's good to be here, Ron. Thank you.
Time rolls right on along. Seems like it was just we're kicking off the new year, and
That's
now here
right.
we are back and into February. Before you know it's going to be March.
That's right.
A lot of activities going on. We want to think about an old saying, an ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure, Raymond.
That's right.
And we have some ideas for the people today that will really save them trouble in their yard in the days and weeks and months to come.
Right. Right now in their lawn particularly, that's the biggest questions that we'll get this time of year is how can I get rid of those winter weeds that I see out there on the lawn right now? Well, you have several options. One, you can do nothing and just let them go.
Yeah.
So, you can mow them, just go in and mow them, and that way to keep them from going to flower. The other thing is that you can do some weed control, and there are many different products out there for weed control. Some of them are what we call pre-emergent herbicides, or products that we put out that prevents the weeds from coming through the grass and coming up. Basically, it forms a layer in the soil, and it kills the weed seeds as they come up. And that, for example, would be like this Halt's product here by Scott's, and there are other brand names too that have this. This particular product, it has the pendimethalin in it, is the active ingredient, but this is a crabgrass, but it also, mainly a crabgrass preventer, but it will also help with some other grasses that may come up in the summer.
Yeah.
And it can also be put out in the fall to help with some of the other weeds that you are seeing popping up now.
So this product called Halt's actually will help now and later. You can buy a large bag or whatever. What you don't use, you can use again.
Right. You could take this, and ideally right now, when the soil temperature for crabgrass, particularly if you've got crabgrass in, say, if you've got a centipede.
Yeah.
Centipede lawn, we don't see much crabgrass, but then we get into Bermuda grass or zoysia, seeing some crabgrass come up.
Yeah.
And typically the crabgrass will sprout when the temperature of the soil temperature gets about 50 degrees or higher.
All right.
So you kind of got to watch it from that. Typically we say about the time the dogwoods begin to bloom is a good time to put this crabgrass preventer out to help with that. And this is one product that you could use for that will help real good, will do really good on controlling that. And then again, like I said, you can use it in the fall. The pre-emergent for winter weeds that you and I are seeing right now in our lawn, ideally it would have been to put out a weed control measure, a preventative weed control measure in October. And generally we say from October to the end of February is the time to put out the preventatives. And then after we get the weeds up and you may have missed it, then we move over to what we call a post-emergent herbicide. And what that means is it basically kills whatever is up without injuring the grass. And you need to know what grass you have with any of these products, because some of these products are only labeled for centipede and St. Augustine, some are labeled for Bermuda only, and some are labeled for everything. So you have to look and read the label to make sure.
Now, and one thing you could do, come into Roche Farm Garden, they'd be glad to help you with whatever product you may need. You can call the county extension office. Right.
And
you guys will be glad.
Right. If you don't know what the weeds are, we do recommend you identifying them, because you may be putting something out there. For example, like this Halt's, you may be putting this product out thinking that it's going to control what you usually have, but it may not be on the label. It may not be labeled. And if it were able to control it, most of the time it will be on the label like that.
So if you have time to do the pre-emergence, if you have time October to the end of February, then you need to come in and get what type of product?
Well, you can get, one of the things that you can get is this Atrazine. Let me see where it is here. The Atrazine. The Atrazine is a unique product in that it works both as a pre and a post. So the weeds that you have up right now coming up, if you were to spray your yard with this product, it will basically control to keep any more from coming up, and it will also help get rid of what you have.
So this time of year, if I see someone out, they have a big sprayer, whether it be on a lawn tractor or what have you, or they have a backpack or either handheld, and they're spraying back and forth all through the yard. That's probably what they're doing.
That's probably what they're using. And you talked about, and again, you can get it, these are two different brands, same active ingredient, same percentage and everything. But what it does is basically the Atrazine, and it's the most widely used one as far as home lawns. but it will work on your centipede, your St. Augustine, your zoysia. It will work on dormant Bermuda grass. Only time that we can use this product is when it's dormant
on Bermuda grass.
on Bermuda. But
Yeah,
now as far
okay.
as centipede, St. Augustine, zoysia, this is a good time of year to also do it as well. But this will help to put down a barrier in the soil, and it will also help to control it. Now, if, for example, if you've got dandelions in your yard, for example, what many do, this product will help a little bit, but it's not that effective. And then what you have to do is to go to something like this, which is a, like you mentioned, you can buy, for many homeowners, they may have just a small area and they just want it already pre-mixed. They can do this.
Yeah.
Or they can come in with a product like this, Southern, season-long weed control for lawns.
Yeah.
And this will kind of help control up to 6 months. What it does is it has a contact product in it, a Postemergent Killer, and it also has a product in there that will do a little bit of preventative for you, like what we talked about with the halt, similar to like it puts that in there. But again, you can attach this to your water hose, and break the seal and use as much as you want. Stop it, do it. This will basically cover up about 10,000 square feet for this. And then for these little bottles like this right here, basically you're just looking at, if you see a dandelion, you walk around and just pop it that way.
Okay, so if it's real sporadic,
you
probably get away with that.
Right,
But
right.
if you want to cover your whole yard, this is the ticket
that
right
would be
here.
the
Hook
ticket
the hose
there.
up to it,
Right.
and it'll mix it properly.
Right, and then the other thing is if you have a yard, like you mentioned, someone going around spraying like that,
Sure.
you can buy this in a concentrate like this, and you can use a pump-up sprayer, or you can use a hose-in sprayer. They sell hose-in sprayers here in other garden centers that you basically dial it to the amount that it says, and you just go around and spray it on the yard that way.
Okay.
It does a good job. One of the reasons we say the end of February is a lot of times our grass begins to start growing in March, so it's kind of an iffy thing. You really don't want to put too much on during that time frame, but again, it depends on the weather. It may be middle of March before the grass starts to green. So you kind of have to watch it. But now February is a good time to do this, and again, follow the directions and it'll tell you how much to use.
So let's clarify that just a little bit, because I've always heard that centipede, May was the time that it would grow.
Well, it basically starts waking up in March.
All right.
Now, as far as May is the best time to fertilize your centipede. But what happens is the grass begins to green up, and we have these cold nights, and these cold nights slow it down.
All right.
The warm days warm it. It goes back, but it's a slow process, and that's the reason.
By the time you get to that, where it's good to.
Yeah,
okay.
April, May.
So we got the pre-emergence pretty well.
Well, I want to mention one other thing too. This is a lot of times people ask me, well, why can't I get atrazine in a granular form? And you can, but it's only labeled for St. Augustine grass. Ortho has this product, and it's a spot. You open it up and you shake it out in the area, and this works great on St. Augustine, but it's not labeled for any of the other grasses. But if you have
good at any time of the year?
Right, yes. As far as that, basically, you can do it. Again, I'm always reluctant to do anything really when I say, it's okay. The label says you can do it, but again, you want to really wait until you get through that green up period. But again, even then, you just have to expect possibly a little injury. 9 out of 10 times you'll be okay, but there's always that chance of with that, and that's what you have to be real careful with.
And with these applications, I'm sure you have to read through them, but like with this, do you continue to water it? Do you have to water it to get it?
Right, you have to water it in. Yeah, what you do is, for example, with this, you can, like the directions are for like a tablespoon per 2x2 area, which is 4 square feet. And then what you want to do is water it in right after the application to release the product into the soil that way. And the atrazine, which is in here, works by contact, and it also works by root uptake. So that's the reason that you can kill the weeds that are already there as well. And you talk about the label. The labels are on these products. They are a little bit hard to read because they're small, small writing, but they're in English and they're also in Spanish as well on most of them. And they're going to tell you, and again, the label is the law. These, for example, have a peel-out label that you peel out and look, and that's one of the first things that goes amiss a lot of times is that. So stick it somewhere that you can have it. But this works. Right now, if I were treating a yard, I would use the atrazine. If I had, centipede, St. Augustine, zoysia, and had some dormant Bermuda grass, I would do that. If I've got weeds that have already popped up, and dandelions in particular, I would go with some of these spot treatments. And these products that we talked about earlier, these are what we call three-way or four-way. They've got 3 different chemicals in them or 4 different chemicals in them, and each one kind of works together to kill the weeds on there. So, and again, you need to read the label. Know what your weeds are. Find out what kind of grass you have. Make sure you have that. And if you have a hodgepodge, a lot of times people say, well, I just got just old field grass hodgepodge.
Sure.
Kind of look and see what you might have. You might have more centipede than you think you do, but kind of look and see what you have on there with it. But the pre-emerge, this is a good time to do it. But again, keep in mind that October to February window. If we put it out in October, we can get rid of them we don't have as many to deal with now. But there again, it's a good idea to go ahead and treat them now while they're small in February, and that'll eliminate you having to deal with them in April and May.
Great time to do that. Always a wealth of knowledge here with Raymond Joyce at Roche Farm Garden. Thanks for joining us.